It's time to talk about Resident Evil Requiem. I'm Jeff Grubb from Giant Bomb, joined by Jeff Bakalar and Dan Reichert. This is the big new Capcom release, big new Resident Evil. Going back to Leon, there is another character there as well, Grace Ashcroft. It is a lot of lessons learned, I think, for this game, guys. I think the big thing that I picked away from playing this game and finishing it, I played it on Switch 2. Very well paced, almost maybe too well paced, and we can kind of get into that in here in a little bit. But yeah. Okay, Dan, you finished the game. Bakalar, you're getting near the end. Let's talk about it. How you feeling, Dan?
It's funny you say too well paced, because it's like I've been thinking about this game a lot. There's a written review on the site as well that I put up. And my complaints about this game are also like backhanded compliments in a way.
It's kind of also all good things, and it's like not enough, or maybe the good things happen like so fast.
There's these two perspectives with Grace and Leon, and they're both so good, and I had so much fun with both of them that I kind of just want a full game of each of those. Maybe maybe that's just being greedy and like, just give me more of that and that. But it's like, I feel like we got 30% of two all-timer Resident Evil games. And I actually say that I do consider this an all-timer Resident Evil game.
Same.
But I'm thinking if you had like, there's this early first like 3 hours or so, and we've all played through that. Bakalar, you did that, the Grace section in the Rhodes Hill Care Center. Mm-hmm. That is my favorite part of this entire game. I think that is hearkening back to kind of this interconnected areas, survival horror, limited inventory. It's very 1, 2, 3 with the perspective of 7 and 8. But it also does all this really smart stuff with the enemies and clearing out these rooms and the enemy behavior and everything that feels like kind of a fresh step forward for the series. So it's like I got to the end of that Grace section and I kind of was like, man, I want this to keep going. Imagine if this just had the length of if this was 10 or 12 hours long of just this, that could be the best Resident Evil game of all time. And then you do the Leon stuff, and Leon has a good, like, uninterrupted, like, 3-hour stretch of the game, too. Also very good, and very much in that Resident Evil, let's just say 4. We could say 4, 5, 6, but let's just say
it's
4.
That's
4,
the one
everyone wants to talk about. It's great. It's great action, and it's so action-focused that they're like, here's a wristband that gives you kill points that you can use to buy bigger guns. And
we know what we have here.
It's like they are, it's so deliberate what they're doing, and it works so well, and both versions are so fun that, like, I don't think the brevity of those sequences helps it really, because I mentioned in the review that like everything's abbreviated. So it's like all the like powering up your weapons and stuff, or getting the bigger attaché cases and all that stuff. It's all on this shorter timeline than 4. So you don't have this buildup of saving money and trading things in and waiting for the merchant and like, ooh, I can finally breathe. I got this bigger case, or I got my gun's powerful now.
You kind of go out on one loop of like, all right, I have to go do something in this area where I'm Leon. You do one loop where you go and get the thing and you kind of return in the city back to the point, and we'll try to be mostly vague. This is going to be a mostly non-spoiler discussion, but
no story spoilers whatsoever.
No story spoilers, and we'll probably avoid most of the big moments as well. But you'll do that loop around. You come back to your home base there, where they have the thing where you can now use all of the money you got from literally just you get money for killing enemies. You got a bunch now, and you spend it all right away and upgrade most of your stuff in one go. And the stuff you didn't do, you're like, you come back around again. You're like, what can I even spend it on? It's like, oh, I can like upgrade some of these specific upgrades again, that sort of thing.
And buying charms and doing like a double damage upgrade or something like that. Like, it is just so different than the Grace stuff. Like, there are parts where it's like I'm literally sniping zombies on a highway in the distance because it's like it's Time Crisis, and I'm trying to I want to get like more points,
Exactly. It's like I'm incentivized to do that, so I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if like those decisions to kind of like put Leon sections into sort of like arcade hyperspeed, like is emblematic of what the kind of contemporary, gaming sort of behavioral expectation is, right? Where like, and for me, it's like, I obviously prefer the Grace stuff. That's the horror that I want. I had a lot of fun. I'm having fun with all the Leon stuff for sure.
Right. It's never boring. Yeah.
It's never boring, but I want to, like, being in the Chronic Center was like just the best couple of hours I could have asked for. Like, and the sort of complexity, right, where the labyrinthine sort of like expertise that they're really like demonstrating, where they're just like, oh, this is just like an MC Escher thing that you're gonna get spit out in all the right places. Like, I know that is like a very video game ass thing that this
They've done it a lot, and it
does.
shows. Yeah,
they've done it so much, and now they're just like showing off. They're just sort of like, we can just fucking do whatever and you're gonna be completely enamored with what we're doing here. I think that stuff is so strong, and when you really zoom out on that map and see the multi levels of that whole facility, and understand like how perfectly crafted that whole walkthrough is, and how you just touch everything. You know, I think you could probably make the argument like, yeah, some of it's a little too much hand holding where you're just like, oh, well, you've reached all these points where like you can't open this closet because it's got a gash in it. I wonder how you're gonna do that. Like, whoops, I just showed up right where I have this hatchet and I can do it now. That's fine though. I don't know if I'm searching for more of like agency of like, no, it's on you, Jeff, to like figure out all the nooks and crannies. We've pretty much put that on autopilot now.
Yeah, but
I don't think there's a lot of like cerebral sort of, where do I go next stuff anymore.
No,
I think
this is exactly the kind of game where the developers and designers all realized like, we are making a yellow paint game. Like, we do want people to like know where they're going and when it's time to go there. It's just a matter of like figuring out how to get that next tool or whatever. And then once you have it, like, we don't want you to feel lost in that way. And so let's just make everything that you're doing from going from point A to point B, or if you need to like bypass and go in some other side area to finally uncover something, let's just make sure all of those points are really fun. They hit really quickly. You're kind of in and out, and you're doing something different about every 10 to 30 minutes. And then every 15 to 45 minutes, maybe you're doing something extremely different when you flip and flop between these two characters. I think they have prioritized pacing in a really smart way, because a lot of games are very bad at it to a point where they are almost showing off, and to the point where it's almost detrimental to this game. I would say, I would describe what we have here as, it has completely left me wanting more, parentheses positive. Like, it did leave me wanting more. Now, as you describe it, Dan, once you start getting into that, like if we had this or that for a longer period, if we got these 30% and stretched out to that, it was just a game where you're in the chronic care center, or it was just a game with Leon, and if we got both of those, beautiful. But I know right now, being left wanting more, I'm like, this game succeeded on what it was going for.
Yeah, and I think the reason I say 30% and not 50%, because obviously it's just two perspectives, is because there are those two unbroken sections, those two lengthier sections as each, and then near the beginning and the end, there's a little more just back and forth. And so I'm saying like the meatier chunks, I'd say, take up about 30% of the game.
That's right.
But it seems like we're aligned on the gray stuff being maybe the strongest part of this game, and like, I think
it's the part that I wanted to replay immediately when I was done, and I did. And then when I kind of got through most of the gray stuff, it's like, all right, I'm going to put this down for now. That, again, taking nothing away from the Leon stuff, it's just that has been better slightly before and 4. I don't know if it's ever been better with the kind of stuff they're going for with Grace.
Yeah, like when you walk into like that bar area, right? And you can just like, I just looked at that screen for like 90 seconds where it is
sounds like, and it
is so detailed.
And it took me a while to put together like, oh, she's a singer, that's why she's in there doing that thing. Okay.
It is just the level of detail in there, and that's for me why it's the combination of like a dozen different things why Grace's part for me are stronger. They're just more interesting. There's just more going on there, and the level of like ornate detail and all that stuff, like that's what has me addicted to kind of just like being in that space. The center hall of the chronic care center, like the baby blue, like it is. I mean, I know this is really more just like a fidelity sort of circle jerk, but it's like, oh my gosh, I can't get over what you're looking at, to the point where like it does feel so hyper realistic in a way where I like, I need this like every year for myself to just have a new place that I can poke around and sort of exist in. And that's it, like that, the first couple of moments where you are introduced to one of the big bads, and just how you notice like, oh, there's just such special and unique attention to detail of like what this character animates like, and the real-time sort of like effects on its skin and all this stuff. And you're just like, my gosh, this is something special that you just don't get in every game you play.
And then on the other hand, I'm playing on Switch 2, and I don't feel like I missed out on all that much. Now, it's obviously it is going to be better with a 5080 or 5090 or PS5 Pro. It will be better. But I had an experience that was often, most of the time, based on, like, I did some analysis, 60 frames per second most of the time. Now, you will notice frame rate drops. Like, it's not 60 frames per second unbroken or a few hiccups here and there. There are sustained periods where you could see the frame rate drop. And then I will say that at least when I was playing handheld, that didn't bother me all that much. I don't think I was noticing it. I think the screen kind of compensates for that a little bit. There are a couple of moments, a handful of moments where the frame rate will crater. And that's when it's like, okay, if I'm sitting there and someone comes up and talks to me, should I get it on Switch 2? I have the opportunity to play it here or there. It's like, look, it's going to be a $70 game. If you want an unblemished experience, you're going to be able to get that elsewhere. I don't feel like I played something lesser there, though. I feel like I got the full experience of Resident Evil 9 by playing on the Switch 2, and especially handheld.
That's really cool to hear. Yeah, because I played on PS5 Pro, and it was tremendous on that. Jeff, you played on PC. Obviously, going to be looking incredible there. And I wanted to touch on the Grace thing again because, like, I think so much of this game is kind of playing greatest hits. In a great way, elements of like all the games, including the one section that reminded me of 6 in a good way, believe it or not. Which Grubb, you know exactly.
Oh yeah, I think I like texted you guys like right away. I'm like, this game.
It's just it's the most over the top section. It's a short little thing. It reminded me of 6. It's like, okay, if you're gonna do a little homage to 6, that kind of feels like it. But I think the thing that was the coolest, like the thing that felt the freshest to me in the whole game was during the Grace part, and it's like, Bakalar, you brought up the bar area. And that is a really striking area there. And there's a couple enemies. There's like a couple normal enemies there. And then there's this singer that is, whoa, what's that? I haven't seen that before. And in all these rooms, since you are kind of going back and forth across the care center a lot, and you're kind of retreading certain hallways and stuff, you have to kind of do this mental math of like, okay, so that corner room there, the bar, you look at the map and it's like, I don't see myself needing to go through here a lot. So I've got a few options. I can just sneak through here, there's 3 enemies. I don't know what that singer does. That seems scary. Sneak through, and that means every time you go through there, they're still going to be alive. You can sneak through. Or you can get into a gunfight with them, where it's like, okay, that sounds dangerous. Probably going to take some health. Going to use a ton of fucking bullets to try to kill all these things. And if you shoot them to death, there's a chance they come back as blister heads, which if you play the RE1 remake, it's similar to the Crimson Head things. It's like, it's going to reanimate this body.
At a certain amount of time. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, so you don't even if you kill them with your gun, anytime you go through that room again to like see if there's items or anything, you're going to be on pins and needles because it's like, oh, these fucking bodies are going to come back to life,
Yep.
Then you can do the ultimate of the nuclear option, which is one of my favorite things of the Grace stuff, which is the hemolytic injector. So it's the syringe that they showed off in some pre-release materials.
Where she was collecting blood and stuff like that. It has other options to it as well, yeah.
Yeah, so you can like suck up this infected blood, and that's like a finite thing. There's like, it's not just every enemy drops this stuff. It'll be marked on your map. Like you can get it out of a tub, or you can get it from next to this dead body or whatever. And it's crafting material, basically. So you can go and you can craft these injectors. So it's not something that you get a lot of, so you got to be selective about them. So that is one thing you can do if you want to like clear out that room permanently, is like, well, you're gonna have to sneak up on 3 of these things and inject them, use 3 injectors, which is quite a bit, but then I don't ever have to worry about this room again. And so these are the type of decisions you have to make, but then you also realize there's things like that chef that's outside the kitchen.
Yep.
He's a big motherfucker, and he's going to kill you. Like, I don't want to get in a gunfight with that guy. So that was an easy decision for me, where it's like, okay, he takes the same 1 injector that a standard zombie does. I'm popping this guy like a water balloon, and I did. And it's like, I just don't have to worry about the chef anymore, which is a great feeling.
Yep. Now,
or you can come back as Leon later, and then it's just like you're just John Matrix, and you're just blasting with a shotgun. There's so many different ways you can approach this stuff,
and that was one of the things I was concerned about. They talked about in the preview, like you can leave stuff for Leon. It's like, oh man, I'm already going to be so resource hungry. Am I going to worry about that? And that's not really what they meant. They meant like you might discover something that only Leon can get into, and then I guess if you left something behind because you didn't need it, he could pick it up, but probably you're going to use that.
Everything is Grace. Grace needed that more than Leon.
Exactly. Grace needed it a lot more. Exactly. So it's like chances are you were just going to get a few things that were left over because Grace simply physically could not get into that thing. I like the hemolytic injector was like, it did create these cool opportunities where it's like, okay, there was one, I'm gonna pop it into you and see what happens, and he didn't die right away, and she's sort of talking to herself. I'm like, let me try a couple more times and see what happens. And you're right, it's this breath of relief. as you clear out this hall, you're like, all right, now I don't have to worry. Now the game knows what it's doing. You're not going to be threat free in that area for long. If you kill the big zombie, they'll replace it with a smaller one just to keep things some high tension there when you're actually trying to navigate, which I appreciate because that's what you want to feel in these spaces. So it's well done. It rewards you by getting rid of the big threat, replaces it with something smaller just to make sure that it still feels like Resident Evil as you're playing it.
Yeah, and you could tell that they know that people responded strongly to Mr. X and the 2 remake and Lady Dimitrescu and the Baby and Village.
Sure.
Because there's a few big fuckers in this one that are like, oh boy, that thing's in there. I'm not going in that room again. You know?
Yep. Ton of great supporting baddies, right? Like all throughout, and such good variation in all of them, and really strong. And the main antagonist, I loved him also.
Oh yeah,
the guy that like a Palpatine got into steampunk.
Yeah, right. And just like got super into snakeskin.
Yeah,
you know?
It's like HGH and just like had that leg lengthening surgery. Yeah, exactly. Big old tall boy.
There's nothing better. Like I know it was funny because it's kind of in Reanimal too, where it's like these people who are just like 8 to 9 feet tall. They're not like absolute like out of this world, but like relative, you know,
still way too tall
through
but
a door. But still too tall in an off-putting kind of way.
Like soft spoken and obviously very famous. This doctor character who they showed in the trailers with like all the crazy goggles stuff and everything. Yeah, he's a really interesting character for sure.
He's fun. I think he's real fun. He's the most. I don't know what's a good way to put it. He's like the most approachable of all the Resident Evil. You know what I mean?
He's the one I want to have a beer with.
Just sit down with him. His politics are really okay. Like,
approachable in this context doesn't mean like, have him babysit for you, but it means more of just like, oh, like there's a person in there at to some degree. What'd you guys think of the there's new systems, right? There's the blood collection stuff. There's this kind of like analysis of the blood lab stuff.
There wasn't quite as much of that as I was expecting. Basically, that unlocks new craftable items. That's one of the ways you do it. You can also like read a book or something and learn how to craft things.
I think that was for at least for the chronic care area. I thought like they introduced a few things where you're sort of like, oh, this is something I'm gonna really have to like keep in mind for the entirety of the whole thing, and that kind of isn't the case. And that's not criticism, just sort of like maybe a misdirection sort of element of the game.
They kept it out. I think they like rightfully realized that like if too much of that probably would have gotten in the way. They have just the right amount. Yeah.
But I also think that falls into what I was saying about the Leon weapon upgrade stuff, where it's like, okay, there are these systems, but like they're not super fleshed out because you're only going to really be messing with them for a few hours.
It's fun, but it's not as fleshed out. And like you could just see a game where it's like, if this is more fleshed out, it's fun for even longer and maybe even more fun. Like it's really well done what they have there. It's just like the Leon upgrade system. I definitely was like, oh, I feel like I'm flying through this, so I'm not getting the full effect that I got in like a Resident Evil 4.
It's just compressed, right? Everything just feels sort of compressed. And obviously, if you've played a Resident Evil game before, you're like, oh, here's the blank canvas I have. Yep. And in reality, it's like, no, it's actually just really, really hyper compressed, and you'll sort of blow through it. I don't know. This is also something where I feel like I find myself just like, there's all these like stones and holdable amulets and all these things that you kind of just like look in your hand and I will stare at the goddamn screen for 2 minutes and be like, wow, this quartz, look how like I want that. I want to own that. Like
since
I want that on my desk.
The best rotating in the biz.
Oh,
Resident Evil.
Yeah, the best.
Oh my God.
No
rotating shit.
like none
I'm gonna look down the
other.
barrels of those guns. I'm gonna look at every crystal. I'm gonna
give me a singular light source, and I'm gonna make this bad boy dance. Like,
I was carrying around a severed hand for a good chunk of the game.
Oh, yeah.
I never found out what it does, but I was rotating the shit out of it.
I think I got a check mark by it. I didn't do anything with it. I don't know.
Yeah, I noticed that a few times. There were items that you find, and when the check mark, I guess the check mark means like you don't need this anymore.
Exactly. You throw it in the storage.
Right? Like,
exactly.
Well, it'll auto throw it away sometimes. Like if you have a key and it's good for 3 doors, you'll hit the third door and you'll see it go from 1 to 0.
It'll disappear.
Yeah. But I do think, and this is not spoilery, but I do think there are multiple ways to solve certain puzzles.
Oh,
like I found at least one way that I'm 90% sure. I can go back and find out. Outside of the care center, next to the helicopter area, there was like a thing where like, oh, I found this is the same shape and size of a thing I used to
interesting.
unlock a puzzle. I wonder if I
inside like a cool room that would be cool to hang out in. Is that the room we're talking about?
Oh,
Okay,
sure.
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
I like that room.
Yeah, which was pretty wild. Yeah, there's a lot of rooms I liked in this
Good
place
rooms.
that I was like, I wonder if I could design my house like this without zombies. Like that would be sick.
That'd be dope.
You know?
Speaking of the zombies, we touched on a little bit, like with the singer, especially in the care center. Most character to the zombies ever, where it's like, oh, that's the light guy, that's the maid, that's that's the chef. Obviously,
this guy can't see, so it's just like sound based. Which like they've done that stuff before. Even 4 did that with the guy, but that one boss. This one, it's like, what if it was sprinkled across all the standard quote unquote zombies, where it's like, oh, the maid freaked out and went to a berserk rage because she saw the blood splatter. So like, oh shit, if I hemolytic inject her or something and pop them, if the maid comes through here, she's gonna freak the fuck out and try to kill me. Like that type of stuff is so interesting that like Ari hasn't done to that level.
And it's like the light guy is obsessed with lights out, because when he was alive, he was the the guy who said lights out, and he went around and made sure that all that was done. So it's his job. It's carried over into his zombie form, and then you can use that against him. You go down the hallway, you turn on the light furthest away from where you're going to be again. He goes down there, and then he's stuck down there because you just don't ever turn on another light. It's like, oh, you can use these things against them. The guy in the dining room's got a steak knife and stuff like that. It like everything has a very memorable edge to it, which I made that world feel even more alive and very easy to sort of memorize, because I could treat each landmark as a distinct thing, because it's probably populated by one of these zombies. It's very well done.
I also noticed the kind of environmental stuff with the storytelling. Just like everything else in this game, just feels like you're on a bit more of a quicker moving sidewalk. There's not. You obviously find tons of typewritten letters and stuff, and handwritten letters and stuff like that, but none of it is like 7 pages.
No,
it's never like, oh my god, I have to read through all these things, and everything is much more to the point. I got to imagine that's a deliberate thing where the Capcom's seeing like, oh, there's just. The data is showing that people are not reading all this stuff, right?
Just do it like you did on the PlayStation. Let's just do that again. Yeah.
Maybe just a one sheet, maybe get right to the point. And I kind of appreciate that, because I read all that
thoughtful.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read all that stuff in a way that I will admit, like there are times when I'm playing one of these types of games, whether it's the Silent Hill or Resident Evil, and I'm like, oh, this is page 1 of 7. Sorry, I'm not going through all this.
And after learning more about things and reading things, I don't think they picked the right FBI agent to send to that particular hotel.
Oh, there's
several reasons this was a bad idea.
It's crazy.
This was good in your review. I did agree with this. It was bothering me early on, where every time Grace was confronted by anything, not a zombie, any other human talking to her, she was shuffling her feet and looking down at him like she was a dog who just peed on the carpet. It was, it's like, guys.
She's literally at one point, I wrote it down. What do I do? Yeah. You're an FBI agent.
Right. Now, but the story does, position her in a way where like she is a cubicle rat, and she's like, she's never in the field. And you got to also like ask yourself a question, like, why was she asked to go? There's a lot going on.
I think maybe that's the last place they should have sent.
Exactly. Of course,
young woman.
Right? But who knows?
I'll say that the game mostly pulled out of that. By the middle of the game, I wasn't thinking about that anymore, and it wasn't much of a problem. It passed, but I definitely early on, I was like, ugh, this is stupid. Don't treat this character like she's completely incapable. This is dumb.
It is funny, though, because it does make that tonal shift when you first come back to the care center as Leon. It's like you go from just the most hapless, Shaggy from Scooby-Doo to just like this guy who comes in quipping and roundhouse kicking chainsaws. It's itchy and scratchy. It goes from just like tense horror to just chainsaw murder. It's incredible.
You're moving so much quicker, too. Like, I like Leon's walk is faster than Grace's run.
Yeah.
Did you do any of the flipping back and forth between did you make Leon first person or Grace third person?
When I started my second playthrough, I did the exact opposite for each character. So now Grace is third person and Leon is first. It's
that's interesting.
The game tells you, though, it's like, hey, you should do the first person stuff with Grace and third person. And like, I agree with that.
Oh,
at least first
I
time,
think that's smart.
Go nuts on future ones, but like, I really do think the perspective shift works.
I think it's correct, and it's correct for each one. Like, yes, Grace should be first and Leon should be third. It works really well for both characters. You don't you don't even notice it. There's going to be a lot of people who have their strong preference. I think mostly it's for people who want to play Resident Evil in third person, and you're going to be just fine if you do it that way. But it's a better game if you kind of stick Grace to first.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, especially because some of the Grace sections are almost like amnesia-like.
Yeah.
You know, like the Dark Descent, where it's like you're hiding, you're trying to stay in light, you're trying to you are not overpowered. You need to be crafty and hide. And I think that works better in first person when you're kind of like peering around corners. Oh shit, they're coming down the hall. You know, that type of stuff.
Yeah, the light stuff is so strong too. That's why I'm curious to see some of the Switch gameplay. You know, the lighting detail. It's so atmospheric. It's so strong of a story angle and kind of like a gameplay mechanic of the whole experience. I wonder, like, you said you didn't lose any of that. That's good to hear, Grubb.
I'll say it didn't feel like I lost any of it. Yeah, it still felt like I had the full experience.
That looks like.
Yep, it looks. But the lighting looks good in the Switch 2 version.
You know, you turn off a lamp and you can see Grace's reflection in the turned off lamp, and like there's so much stuff. This is like the first time where I was like, oh, graphics.
Yeah.
Oh right, graphics are this is wow. Look at that. Like, just really the eye candy is where when you know where to look for it. It was really rewarding.
There is something too about like going back to like, look, I liked 7 and Village a lot. I think those are great entries.
Yeah.
But like they did feel like at times almost a different side series with all the like Ethan focus. You know, like I know Chris is in them, but like, you know, they talk about Umbrella, but like this is you are Leon. We are talking about Umbrella. We are talking about Raccoon City. Like this feels more like in line with, whereas like especially Village felt like it was this whole side kind of more fairy tale type thing. This is a little more classic in tone of Resident Evil, which I kind of like coming back.
I appreciate.
I love 7 and 8, but I prefer this.
Yeah, and especially after 7 and 8, I felt like I missed it. So great, we're back.
I like that it's there, but I think for me, that, you know, I don't necessarily play Resident Evil. Like, again, it's probably a top 3 franchise for me of all time, right? But ironically enough, I don't play these games for the Umbrella lore, you know, like to be Leon or something like that. And I do think the mood and the sort of gameplay, eclipse all that sort of stuff too. I think for like for a nostalgic sort of effort where you're like, oh wow, it's back. We're back here in this place again. Like that hits for sure.
I think they needed the break though, because it's like when you look at 6, which is kind of universally the most like that's the maligned one of the core series.
Yeah.
That went so hard on all of that lore, and it's Chris, it's Leon, it's Claire, it's Jill, it's just like it's Wesker's kid or whatever. It's just like, well, okay, we went way too hard on this stuff.
Right.
I think it served the series well to kind of step away, focus on this other guy and his issues for a couple games, and then it's like, okay, we'll kind of bring it back around again a little bit. And like, it's in a spoiler, it was in the trailer, but like, yeah, Raccoon City, like you're in Raccoon City for part of this game, and so like you are kind of back in it in that classic Resident Evil vibe again here. And like, I do think the break made it more impactful to kind of go back to the classic stuff here.
Yeah, and then it's not just like, oh, we get to see it again. It's like they use that stuff well enough. It's like they're deploying it strategically, and the game feels like, yeah, this needed Leon to be the game it was going to be, which again, a top tier Resident Evil at the end of it.
It's just more anime. Like there's just more like posing. You know, there's just more like in this one. There's just like more moments of character reveal.
I mean, it's a real dumb game. Like that's the thing about it.
You're like, oh.
I laughed out loud. I won't say specifically, but like there's just a part in Raccoon City where like it's that like Event Horizon moment where you see like a video of what happened to the previous. Like remember, like Leon comes across a video, basically comes across a real ugly scene and sees this footage of like multiple of the most gruesome murders you could possibly imagine, and then it just cuts back out and he has a quip for it. And it's like, Leon, now is not the time.
Doesn't have a quip. He has. There might be 20 in this game. Like he's never not quipping.
Take one second opinion.
He's always by himself, right?
Yeah.
I guess it's like, you know,
like looking around for someone to laugh at it.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Like they have a tone that they're going for with him, and it's not too much. It's like, okay, it's a lot, but it's not too much. I appreciate
it's the where's everyone going bingo thing, but that's just how he knows how to deal with situations.
Exactly, and it's so, and it's like it's just Leon. They don't make Grace do that as well. Grace is a very different character, which
she's like, I don't want to get fucking killed.
Yeah, this is another thing that benefits from them going back and forth. It's like if it was just Leon doing that for 15 hours, that would be too much. It's not. They break it up. You get a different flavor of something. So then when you get back, you're like, I kind of can't wait for him to quip again, and then he does. You get to cheer the game. The story, I'll say that
it's a Resident Evil story.
It's a Resident Evil story, which means like, do I care about like taking on this villain by the end of the game? I did. Thumbs up. You did it. Like you got me to care about this enough.
Yeah, and there are we talked about one villain. We didn't talk about there's more villains, but like they're all just anytime you get introduced to a new character, it's like, man, that is a Resident Evil looking motherfucker.
Yep. I just like I'm like
they're fancy.
Like on a scale of like 0 to will a wrestler want to cosplay one of these characters for their entrance, it's way up there. Yeah.
I can't wait for Kenny Omega Revolution to be dressed as that guy.
1,000,000%. I'm really happy with this game. There's nothing quite like a good Resident Evil. Like there's just when you get a good Resident Evil game, it's just like, yeah, this is a video game. It's usually doing something at least a little bit new, or it's doing something at the top of its class, and all of that is true here.
You know what it feels like when you talk about like summer blockbusters and stuff? Yeah. There's like, remember back when like every July Will Smith had just a big dumb fucking movie that everyone loved? Remember? It's like, it wasn't this Oscar caliber AAA thing. It wasn't some shitty little thing. That games right now, I feel like there's so many AAA things that are going for that kind of Sony super prestige route, and then indies killing it right now. There's not a lot in this vein anymore where it's just like, this is a big, expensive, mainstream, dumbass, great game. And like, it almost feels like, I don't want to say B game because people take that in different ways. I don't mean it like a quality thing or anything, but it's campy. It's big summer blockbuster style, and it works. And I miss this vibe to AAA games, you know?
Yep. I think like this is just shows Capcom really has a strong grasp on what they're doing here, where, you know, rumors that they were thinking about some open world stuff, and you can maybe see like where they could have done that and they didn't. And it's like, that's the right decision. Well, what you've done here is way better. And if that's the alternative means we get this compressed game that sort of rushes through its best moments, but gives you more best moments right after that, they handled it with flying colors. They just have something that like I said, as soon as I got done playing it, I wanted to replay it. And I'm going to probably try it again on PC at least a little bit to get some of those extra graphical effects.
Yeah, I guess like now that I'm like coming towards the end of this, I always wonder like, all right, you've now had what, 3 really solid ones of these in a row with 7, 8, 9, and it's like, now you're looking at like 20, 30 for 10, right? Is that maybe realistic?
Whatever remakes come between now and then,
Yep.
Yeah, sure. It's interesting to think about, like, I think the benefit of the time between these, you can get away with incremental sort of improvements that just sort of like move the needle in a northerly sort of direction, and you have all, the sum of its parts are just like exactly what you want. I don't know how long you go on doing that kind of thing, but I'll tell you, like, it really is awesome to see a series that is back on track in a way that is so consistently strong. Yeah. You've now had like over a decade of these really strong entries. It really is impressive.
Because think about in the last decade, it's been 7, 8, 9, and 2 and 4 remake. I mean, 3 remake was not quite on the level, but like we're talking 5 all-timer Resident Evil games. We're counting the remakes. Like they are on a run right now.
Yep. And I kind of can't wait to see where they go with this. That's they can keep making new ones, but for now, this one delivered. It's excellent. I'm looking forward to actually playing it more. Like I said, Dan. Go ahead, Dan.
I was gonna say, I think it is the best in 20 years, meaning it's the best since 4. I would say, if we're talking like mainline series, numbered series, I think it's the best since 4. And I do feel like this game is this culmination of like everything they've learned over 30 years of making this series now, all put together into this one fantastic entry.
Yep, it feels well informed by its past. Absolutely. Dan, you gave it 4.5 stars in your review.
That's correct.
So worse than Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Yeah, of course.
My score is my score.
All right. I will say that this is better than Metroid Prime.
I'll agree with you on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for being so brave, Grubb.
I'll stand out there with you.
I want to definitively go on record for posterity and just say that this is a much, much better game.
Yep, I'm quite enjoying it. I think I would probably actually end up giving it 5 stars, but we'll see exactly where Dan is at. All right, excellent. Any other final thoughts, guys?
I mean, I want to play it again. Like, there's something about Resident Evil. Like, they are so good at like giving you like these things that can break the game and things like that, or different ways to play. Like, ooh, do I want to go back and play that mode where it's like I have to use ink ribbons to save?
Yep.
And because now I have these kind of like unlockable things that might make my life a little easier. So like, they're really good at the replay value. I want to go back in too.
Yep.
There's such a fun variety of stuff here too. You know, I feel like often we kind of overlook like all the little side areas where you're like, oh no, you're gonna have to walk amongst corpses now. You're gonna have to do strange, like, there's just so much fun variety there. I think maybe I don't know, a couple times in previous games I was sort of like looking at the watch and you're like, okay, when's this gonna wrap up? I'll, you know, for every now and then I would kind of get a little bit of fatigue with the previous one. For this one, I'm like horrified because I know the end is coming soon and I don't want it to end. And that's been the sort of separating detail between, you know, 7, 8, and 9 for me. Is like 9 is just really, I got a little worried when I heard about some of that action stuff being part of the game, and I'm like, oh no, this is just exactly the right kind of variety and balance, and just a truly impressive game.
Yep. And just like, the Leon stuff, that action stuff, there's so much variety in what they have you doing as him.
It's crazy.
It's crazy, and some of it's very, very memorable. Some stuff
at one point you're manning a mortar on top of a like skyscraper.
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
It's
yes,
insane,
and then it gets even kind of like crazier from there. There's a couple where I'm just like, oh, that really stuck with me. I'm going to think about that probably forever when I'm playing another game. All right, cool. Thanks, guys. That does it for our Resident Evil Requiem review discussion. We have more coverage. I'm going to do a quick look of the Switch 2 gameplay. We'll have that up around the same time. Go read, Dan, your review is up on the site now, right?
Yes, should be up. If you're watching this, the review is up. Go read that.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll catch you next time. Bye.